I never thought a simple favor would turn my entire world upside down. That morning, participation, my daughter Sarah called me and asked if I could pick up her husband Daniel's car from the wash since they were both running late for work. I didn't think twice. Of course, I said yes. Participation, what harm could there be? It was just a car wash. I drove over with a light heart, humming to myself, not realizing that in less than an hour, my trust in my son-in-law, and even in my daughter's marriage, would be shaken to the core. When I arrived at the car wash, the car was already sparkling clean, glistening under the sunlight. The owner, Mr. Harris, a kind man I'd seen several times before, handed me the keys with a hesitant look. I smiled politely, participation, but I noticed something in his eyes. Like he wanted to say something but wasn't sure if he should. He said carefully, leaning closer, participation. I'm not sure if I should even mention this, but there's something about this car you might want to know. I froze in place. My heart skipped. What do you mean? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. He sighed and then explained, we found items in the car while cleaning. Usually we just put things in a small bag and return them, but what we saw it didn't feel right to ignore. He walked over to a counter, pulled out a small sealed plastic bag, and handed it to me. Inside were a few receipts from a luxury hotel, a woman's earring, and a note written in neat handwriting that said, "Last night was unforgettable. Can't wait to see you again." I felt my knees go weak. The world seemed to blur around me. My son-in-law Daniel had always been the picture of perfection, charming, polite, and hardworking. My daughter adored him, and together they had built a life that seemed so stable, so happy. But in that moment, all of it cracked before my eyes. I looked at Mr. Harris in disbelief. "Are you sure this was in his car?" "Yes, ma'am," he said quietly. I didn't want to get involved, but I have a daughter too. Participate, I'd want someone to tell me. I walked out of the car wash holding the bag like it was a ticking bomb. My hands shook as I got into the driver's seat. Participation. I stared at the steering wheel, trying to breathe. A million thoughts ran through my head. Should I confront Daniel? Should I tell Sarah immediately? Or should I stay silent? On the drive home, I kept glancing at the bag on the passenger seat. Every mile felt heavier. By the time I parked in front of my house, I knew there was no way I could ignore this. That evening, Sarah and Daniel came over for dinner. I watched them closely. Sarah was laughing, serving food, completely unaware. Daniel sat across from me, smiling, patient, asking me about my day. I wanted to scream at him, demand the truth. But instead, I quietly excused myself, went to my room, and pulled out the bag from my purse. After dinner, when Sarah went to put away dishes, I caught Daniel alone in the living room. My voice was cold when I said, "I picked up your car today." The owner gave me something, participation. His face went pale the second he saw the bag. His hands twitched nervously. "That's not what it looks like," he stammered. "Then what is it?" I asked firmly. He hesitated, but before he could answer, Sarah walked back into the room. She looked at both of us, confused. "What's going on?" I didn't want to break her heart, participation, but I couldn't let her live in a lie. Slowly I handed her the bag. Her smile faded as she opened it, and when her eyes landed on the note and earring, her face drained of color. "Daniel, what is this?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Daniel's mask cracked. He tried to speak, but Sarah cut him off, her voice breaking. "Answer me." And then, the truth came out. He admitted he had been seeing someone else for months. He said it started as just friendship, but it grew into something more. Sarah sobbed, patient, covering her face with her hands, while I sat frozen, my chest aching as though someone had punched me. The house was filled with silence after his confession. Sarah ran upstairs, patient, and I was left staring at the man who had promised to protect and love her. "Get out," I finally whispered. My voice was cold, but my eyes were burning with tears. Participation. "Leave before I call someone to make you." Daniel left without another word. The following weeks were some of the hardest I've ever seen my daughter go through. She felt betrayed, broken, and humiliated. But slowly I watched her gather herself. She leaned on me, on her friends, and on her own strength. She filed for divorce, refusing to accept less than what she deserved. One night, as we sat on the porch together, Sarah turned to me and said softly, "Mom, participation. If you hadn't found out that day, I don't know how long I would have lived in a lie. Thank you for being strong when I wasn't." I held her hand, tears filling my eyes. "You deserve the truth, Sarah. You deserve honesty, respect, and love." And in that moment I realized something powerful. Sometimes the truth destroys, but it also sets you free. Patient. That secret nearly shattered our family, but it also gave my daughter the courage to walk away from betrayal and start anew. The day I picked up that car, participation, I thought I was just doing a favor. But in reality, life had placed me in the exact spot I needed to be in to protect my daughter's future. And the lesson I'll never forget: silence protects liars, speaking up saves lives.